Welcome back to another Professional Picks college basketball video. Been doing very well in March Madness so far, and I'm going to be giving you guys my Sweet 16 picks today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you're enjoying the videos. Just really appreciate the support we get from you guys. Also, check out Twitter at Profit of Picks. I'm giving my three favorite picks of the Sweet 16. They all happened to be on Thursday, so might drop a pick for Friday at Profit of Picks. Posted these for the round of 32 because couldn't get a video out quick enough on the turnaround. You can see there went 5-3 on our video plays. After that, we hit on Tennessee, Arkansas, proved it 7-3, and then yesterday we went 3-1. We had Michigan State hitting, Creighton hit for us, as well as Miami money line that got cut off on the bottom there. But we're now 10-4, and today is now that tomorrow that we mentioned. So giving out my Sweet 16 picks. And the first game we got for us is Michigan State against Kansas State, the 7-3 matchup. Two teams that, or I guess Michigan State shouldn't necessarily be here. A lot of people liked Marquette right into the Ken Palms, just being not a top preseason team. Similarly to Purdue, those one seeds don't fare as well. So Marquette got knocked off as the 2 seed. But regardless, we got the Kansas State Wildcats against Michigan State Spartans here. Both teams picking up some impressive wins. They've definitely each had to play good competition. Michigan State, tough win against USC, and then another very impressive one against Marquette. Kansas State, favorable matchup against Montana State, but then they absolutely took care of business against Kentucky. I personally thought this line would be a lot closer to even. I was surprised to see Michigan State open as the 1-point favorite, 1.5-point favorite. Now move to 2. I'm going to say it now, jump on this -2 before it moves anymore. I thought we were going to get a nice dog pick here on Michigan State, but I don't see how they lose this game. Obviously, it's going to be close, but this is a really good matchup for them. Michigan State plays at a much slower pace than Kansas State. Kentucky in that last one got the early lead, 17-9, and then they just kept rushing and firing up shots. Made absolutely no sense to me. Michigan State picked up 2 early leads in both of the March Madness games, and at that slow pace they play at is just such an advantage to them. They're going to make you uncomfortable. Marquette similarly wants to play faster, shoot a lot of threes. But Michigan State's going to play solid basketball. They're not going to turn it over as much. Definitely one of the better teams in just ball control over the last 2 decades. But regardless, this pace of play is going to really hurt Kansas State. We've seen it throughout the tournament. We've seen it why these teams who play so slow and can play good defense, why it's such an advantage. Put the pressure on, miss a couple threes. You're not going to get as many attempts as you normally do. On top of that, I got the X factor here is Tyson Walker for Michigan State. We got the X factor is Marquise Noel for Kansas State. That's going to be the prime matchup in this one. It's 2 senior guards going at it. I just think Michigan State's a lot better equipped to slow down Marquise Noel than Kentucky was. Michigan State's got their 2 upperclassmen point guards who both start between Tyson Walker, AJ Hoggard. Tyson Walker's the technical point guard, but Hoggard averages 6-7 assists a game. Having both of them in the backcourt is so solid. It's really going to create problems for Marquise Noel in this one. Kentucky was up in the game. Cason Wallace played fantastic. The second they took him out, Kansas State went on a 9-point differential run down the stretch, and essentially that won the game. Michigan State's got 2 great point guards. They got another one they could bring off the bench in Trey Holloman. Not too big on him, but regardless, between Tyson Walker, AJ Hoggard, that is plenty more than what Kentucky had with just Cason Wallace back there. I know Marquise Noel is great, but everyone who just watched their first K-State game all year in that Kentucky matchup. That was Marquise Noel's best game of the season, maybe in the top 3 games of the season for him. Regardless, he's not that efficient on the offensive end. He shoots at 38% from the field. And on top of that, he gets a ton of garbage time free throws. You saw it in that Kentucky one. I feel like he shot like 10 in the last minute. He averages another 5 points per game at the free throw line. Very good free throw shooter. But if you're up, you don't have to foul him late. And he averages an extra 5 points per game on those free throws. Take those away. Just look at actual on the court gameplay performance. He averages 12 points a game on 38% shooting. So he's not that efficient. Regardless, still a very great player because he's one of the best passers in the country, if not the best passer. I think the bigger problem for Michigan State in this one is going to be Keontae Johnson. Really going to need Malik Hall to step up off the bench and provide just any type of defensive coverage. Michigan State going through normal starting lineup, it's probably going to be Jaden Akins on him. But I think he's going to be too small. We're going to really need Tyson Walker to step up. But I like Michigan State in this one. I think they have more options, more balanced, and they're going to hit threes. They did it against Marquette, and they still found a way to win. Kansas State didn't hit a single three in that first half. Heated up a little bit in the second, especially in the last few minutes. But I think they got some really timely plays, some really timely calls. If you watch that game with about 2 minutes left, Marquise Noel driving down the lane, dished it off on a pass, got fouled, and they called it a shooting foul. Gave him 2 free throws, gave Kansas State the lead with 2 minutes left. Game-changing call. Obviously, you never know how those are going to go in this one, but I think Kansas State got handed some calls biasly. We were on Kentucky. That was our one loss yesterday. Regardless here, I don't see that happening. Michigan State's going to show up. They're going to play good defense on Marquise Noel. They're not going to lose the turnover margin by 8 like Kentucky did. And they're going to rebound the ball well. They really dominated the glass, dominated the turnover margin against Marquette, and I expect that to continue in this one. Michigan State -2 is the play. Grab it before it moves even more. I expect it to maybe even get up to -3 by the time this game starts in the way it's moving. I'm hearing way too many comparisons of Marquise Noel to Kyrie Irving, and that's not the case. I think a lot of people are big on Kansas State, might have watched them for the first time in this last game, and I've seen them play several times this year. That was one of their better, if not best, performances on the season. Antonio Reeves takes 2 or 3 more shots. He went 1 for 15. Kentucky's playing Michigan State in this game. Michigan State -2 is the play. Next up, Arkansas, number 8, very big upset win over Kansas. We did have that in the previous slide. Going up against number 4, UConn. The Arkansas win was awesome. Musselman taking his shirt off after the game, but that run is going to stop here. I'm on UConn -5.5. Musselman's a great coach, made great adjustments, and just to be honest, though, Kansas had too many liabilities as far as shooters go. If you're watching that Arkansas-Kansas game, there's a big reason I bet on Arkansas to begin with, but they essentially didn't guard DeJuan Harris at all, left him wide open on the three-point line. He bricked a few, and then he got to the point where he didn't even want to shoot him. Let Arkansas pack the paint, really just defend the rim well, and cover their weakness, which is that paint protection. They lost Trayvon Brazile at the start of the season. He was their starting center, and he was a stud. Throw him in this game, it's a different matchup. When you got to roll out with Makai Mitchell, there's 2 very serviceable role players. They even went small and started Kamani Lawrence at the center last game. If they do that, they're in big trouble going up against Adama Sanogo. One of the most dominant posts in the whole country. Obviously, you got guys like Edey and Shibwe who are going to get more attention. Those stats that they put up with Sanogo, crazy efficient, crazy powerful in the paint, and playing on one of the best teams in the entire country. So he's not going to take every shot, but when he gets it down there, he's very tough to stop. Sanogo against that Arkansas front court is going to be a huge mismatch and really dictate this game. On top of that, like I mentioned, Arkansas was able to pack the paint. DeJuan Harris couldn't shoot, essentially playing 4 versus 5. UConn's not the same team as Kansas. UConn's top 30 in the country in three-point mix, while Kansas was 217th. So Musselman, he's going to look there. He's going to look around, play his matchups. Kansas had weaknesses. UConn doesn't. They're deep. They go 8, 9 deep. You got extra posts off the bench. You got more shooters off the bench. And they're really just going to wear you out the full course of the game. Looking at this one too, UConn also plays at a much slower pace. We prefer that. Those are the teams I like to bet on, especially when you're up against a team like Arkansas who wants to run and gun, just doesn't play the most, I guess, disciplined basketball would be the right word, but they are highly skilled, and that's why they want to get extra possessions. UConn's going to do the opposite of that. They get an early lead, similarly to the Michigan State pick. I could see UConn running away with this one. Didn't love the -3.5 initially, but the more I look into it, I love it. You see there also, you got Arkansas defense as the strength. UConn, top 5 offense in the country, and they actually have a higher rated defense as well. And when you're playing that as your strength for Arkansas, UConn just about has the advantage almost everywhere on the court here. Nick Smith Jr., X Factor, missed most of the season. 3rd overall rated recruit headed into the year. Went scoreless against Kansas in 16 minutes. I don't expect that to happen again. That's why he's such an X Factor. Never know what you get with him, but he's only shooting 38% from the field, and he's not necessarily a plus on the defensive end. It's not enough to make me scared of Arkansas in this one. Feeling pretty confident in UConn -3.5. And then to wrap us up, my favorite pick of the entire slate, got Gonzaga versus UCLA, that Final Four matchup from 2 years ago where Suggs banked in that 3, got on top of the scorers table. Probably one of the best Final Four finishes ever. But got a rematch of that game. A lot of different faces on the court. And everything I post is against the spread. And I'm on Gonzaga +2.5, but I'm hammering the money line. I think Gonzaga wins this game outright. UCLA still looked like a solid team. Obviously, I think they're ranked 2nd in the country on the defensive end. Played very disciplined basketball, well-coached basketball. But they've also had the easiest path to the Sweet 16 out of anyone. I forgot who they had to play. UNC Asheville in the first game was almost a joke. They took care of business. You got to give them credit, but not impressed at all in that Northwestern 5-point win in the round of 32. I think Northwestern is one of the most overrated teams all year. Picked up some timely wins. Obviously, they play tough Big Ten basketball, but UCLA only pulling that one out by 5 was pretty alarming to me. On top of that, I mean, obviously Gonzaga had a close one against TCU, almost not here, but TCU is a much, much tougher team than Northwestern. I was more impressed with that Gonzaga win. Getting down early, playing from behind, shows that upperclassman experience, senior leadership. Obviously, don't want to have the same thing here. Hope they clean that up a little bit and don't get down early. Team like UCLA is going to make it extremely tough to come back. But Gonzaga's our pick here, and X Factor Drew Timme is just going to dominate this game. Adam Bona, he's definitely better as the season's gone along. He's better on the defensive end. You could bring in like Kenneth Nwuba, but Drew Timme's going to score. He's going to score a lot this game. He's currently tied for the March Madness record in 20-point games. I think he's going to break it this game. He's going to drop 20 on UCLA, and I don't think they're going to have an answer for him. On top of that, UCLA lost Jalen Clark a few weeks ago. People talked about it, but then nobody really seemed to care too much. Still a big favorite to make it to the Final Four, to win the tournament. But I think that's a huge oversight because Jalen Clark, in my opinion, was the best team, or not the best team, the best player on that UCLA team. Watched tons of their games. I've seen them in person this year. Jalen Clark, best perimeter defender in the country, just absolutely tore everyone up, put him on somebody on the other team. You're just gonna lock them down. And then on the other end, he's your third best scorer, if not second. Losing Jalen Clark makes his team completely different. Forced a ton of steals, and yeah, you just put on the other team's best perimeter player, and you're just pretty much going to shut him down. Losing a guy like Jalen Clark changes the entire outlook of this game. UCLA still really high ratings according to KenPom, but I don't think this team reflects that anymore. On top of that, but not as influential, the David Singleton ankle injury in the last game. No bone injury, so probably going to be good to go for Thursday. I do think he's going to be maybe 70, 80%. He, at the same time, he doesn't play too much into his athleticism, very much a spot up shooter on the offensive end. But on the defensive end, already a guy who's less of an athlete with an injured ankle. I think he's going to be an absolute liability. So you take out one of the best perimeter players in the country, one of your better scorers who could drive to the hoop as well, and you just replace him with a spot up shooter who I think those Gonzaga guards between Razir Bolton, not necessarily Solace, but I don't know why I'm blanking right now. Razir Bolton looked great down the stretch last night. I don't know who Singleton's going to match up on. I just think Gonzaga has enough scorers, enough shooters. For example, Malachi Smith off the bench for Gonzaga. I think he would start over David Singleton on that UCLA team. Malachi Smith can do quite a bit more on the court. Regardless, Gonzaga is the deeper team, and I think Timmy has an extremely favorable matchup. It is a little bit against our normal system play here, Gonzaga being more of an offensive team, UCLA being more of a defensive team, UCLA playing a little bit slower, but those injuries are not something to look past. These season-long statistics, KenPom ratings, they're completely skewed now, taking Jalen Clark off the floor and then having a not 100% David Singleton. Even with Clark, I think Gonzaga gives him a good game just because Timmy's going to be such a matchup or a mismatch for UCLA. On top of that, I absolutely love this because Timmy's one weakness is his defensive game. And Adam Bona is not going to score more than 10 on him. Maybe he will, but he doesn't very often. The only real option here for Mick Cronin is to attack Timmy, get him in foul trouble. Otherwise, I don't see how UCLA stays in this one. Official play is plus 2.5 because everything we've taken this season's been against the spread, but I'm taking the money line. I'm all over the money line in that one. And then we have our partnership with Prize Picks. So you can see there on the left, they'll match your first deposit up to $100 using the promo code ProPicks. It's a daily fantasy app, so you can use it in betting illegal states. We haven't gotten much into it this year. I do think we'll run a little bit of an experiment, post some prize pick specific bets next season. So look out for it. But thank you everyone for watching. Let me know what you're taking in the comments. And I wish everybody good luck this week. Reminder, those games are all on Thursday. So look out for YouTube at Profit of Picks in the middle of the screen there for some potential future bets. Thanks for watching.